this is Daniel Dauphin again with Curly. We're here to do a proper mounting demonstration. There's a couple of things that come to mind before I mount my horse. One is how my saddle is fitting my horse. At the end of this video, I'm going to do a demonstration which won't be all that safe to do or proper, but it's simply a demonstration of what can be if you're mounting your horse properly. I see a lot of people that have this girth in here super tight when they go to get on their horse, and what they're really doing is compensating for their inability to mount properly, and they're making life harder on their horse, and that's really not my goal. If I can't get on well, then I would rather get a stump, a log, mount off of the fence, a mounting block, whatever I need to help me do it in a good manner. One other little thing that I see a lot of times, we want our horse to stand still when we mount. Like with all good horsemanship, setup has a lot to do with that. Curly's not really standing square here. You can see his feet. He's a little more stretched out on this left side, a little closer on his right side. This isn't bad, but if this were a little 2-year-old that hasn't been mounted very many times and he's not really well prepared, I'm almost guaranteeing my horse that's off balance is going to have to take a step or two to compensate for the weight shift when I get on. So one of the first things I like to do before I mount my horse is to look at their feet, see how they're set up. If they're not very square, I'm just going to grab my horse's saddle horn and rock him a little bit. And that'll make him kind of shift his weight and get prepared. You can see he's a lot more square right now than he was just a second ago. Now, a couple of the things that I see people doing that I don't care for too much. One is when you see them stand up here at the shoulder and turn this stirrup around and they'll put their foot in it like so. To me, one of the most common dangerous situations that we have with horses on the ground is when they knock us down with their shoulder. When a horse is going to spook and hit you, bump you, whatever, it's going to be with this shoulder. So if I'm in a precarious situation like mounting always is, there's always an awkward moment in there, even for someone very practiced. Being up here in the most dangerous spot is not where I particularly want to be. I'm not going to say that it's wrong for people to do that. It just has never made a whole lot of sense to me. I would rather be right here, right behind the stirrup. Now, I don't want to be so far back here that this horse could cow kick me and take my legs out or catch me in the knee or something. I want to be right up here to my stirrup, okay? So that's the first thing, is my positioning on the ground. The next thing is going to be my hand positions on the horse. I like to grab rein and mane, and I'm going to really use that mane to help pull myself up on the horse. You can see Curly's kind of preparing himself to be mounted there. He knows what's coming. Horses have a whole different set of nerve endings in their manes and their tails than what humans have. You can really pull on that mane about as hard as you want to, and it doesn't affect them very much at all. It's nothing like grabbing a person's hair and pulling on it. So when you're mounting, feel free to pull on that mane as much as you need to get yourself up onto the horse. That's perfectly fine. You're not causing your horse any discomfort at all. That would be far less comfortable for your horse than if you're mounting with your cinch way too tight. This is probably about how I would tend to ride. I can easily get my hand behind that. I could take this up one without any trouble, and I'm still not very tight. But it's certainly a little less comfortable for my horse to have them really tight. I see people doing that a lot. They'll cinch their horses up. Next thing you know, the horse is learning to take in air. You go to mount him, and your girth is hanging 3 inches below his belly because he's let all that air out. All that horse is doing is protecting himself because you have been over tightening the girth for too long. Learn to mount properly and you won't have to do that anymore. Okay, so we're going to have mane and rein. With the reins, you can see here, hopefully, that my offside rein is a good bit longer than my inside rein. This is because if I were to get on this horse and he were to move, I would want to be able to pull this inside rein and send his butt away from me. That's just a safety device. All of these things that I'm teaching you are things that I've learned from practical experience over the years of riding a lot of colts and having a lot of these bad case scenarios manifest themselves and learning how to keep yourself safe through them. So I want that inside rein shorter. I would really kind of like the horse's nose tipped to me a little bit like so. Not a whole lot, because that's going to again affect his balance, but a little bit. So that if that horse does move, it's really easy for me to send the hindquarters away and not get kicked. So mane and rein. My other hand, this is the most common thing that I see people doing that I don't particularly care for. Lots of people want to put their hand back here on the cantle when they mount, their right hand. Here's the big problem with that. That hand is one of only 2 balance points that you have when you're getting on this horse. This hand is. If that horse were to move or do something that's going to cause you to really need your balance points, you can't get on because you have to let go of that balance points to get your leg across. So it's just not a good situation at all. If a horse is standing still like a statue, you'll have no problem. But I think good and proper horsemanship is preparing ourselves for the bad things that can happen. So I want to put this hand right here on the saddle horn. There are some people that I'll see that mount and they'll grab the swells of the saddle. I'm okay with that. I really prefer it. Here, one of the other things that I have had happen to me is when you go to get on a colt or buck. Again, very common for that shoulder to want to come in. And if you're just getting on, your face is right here on the tray of your saddle, and it's pretty easy to get, clocked. And so if I have my hand here and that horse does something while I'm getting on, I can push off and get my face away from the hard parts of my saddle. So here we'll go. This will be a proper mounting. Inside rein a little shorter. I have the mane, the horn. Put my foot in the stirrup, not super deep, just the ball of my foot there. And I'm going to try to mount diagonally across my horse, not this way. Diagonally, I'll be able to pull more on his withers. I won't be putting as much twist or torque on the saddle, and it'll be a lot easier on the horse's back. So, tip his nose to me, mane and rein, hand on the horn, up, over, down. I always like to get on that little 3-point series. First I'm going up, and you would see an awful lot of guys before they ride their colts, all these colt starting challenges, you're going to see a lot of them that are come to this position right here. They're going to pet their colt, whatnot, while they're in a position they can easily bail if they need to. I then want to come over and hold myself. I can hold with both knees. I'm kind of in 2-point right now, and then I can go down. So just like when I'm putting the saddle on my horse, I'm not dropping all of my weight right onto his back. I can come down in a nice smooth manner. Now to dismount, I'm going to do just the opposite of that. First thing I'll do is take my right foot out of the stirrup. My left foot, if I am the type of person that rides real deep in a stirrup, I'm going to back out where I'm kind of just at my toes, the ball of my foot. Hand on horn, mane and rein, up, over, down. One of the things I do see people doing a lot when they are getting off is really dragging their belly and chest across the saddle. One of the worst horses I ever had early in my career was a thoroughbred stallion. He was pretty rank, and he bucked me off so many times I lost count. And one day I was getting off of him, and I was trying to stay pretty close to him, trying to do what I thought would keep me safe, slide down like that. Well, my t-shirt hung on the saddle horn. I get all the way to the ground, and I'm pinned like this to the saddle because my t-shirt was hung. Don't drag your torso across your saddle. When you get off, get in that position, then come out and down. Okay? My estimation, those are the safest ways to get on and off of a horse. Now, what's in it for the horse? If we do mount properly, we can save some of that torque and twist on our horse's back, and that's always something I'm interested in. This is not something I'm encouraging anybody else to do. This is simply a demonstration of what can be. Curly is a horse that I trust quite a bit. This is not something I would do on just any horse. But if you are mounting properly, then you shouldn't really be needing that saddle tight at all, and this is kind of the extreme version of that. I hope y'all can see that my girths are completely loose. No girth on this horse at all. This is just the saddle sitting on his back. I'm kind of a fat guy, so we'll see if I can pull this off today. Again, I'm going to mount at a diagonal across his withers, not straight across his back, and I'm going to use that mane to help pull me up here, okay? All right. And I think it's pretty obvious that if I were pulling on my horse an awful lot, this saddle would have told on me. So again, that's not something that I recommend that a lot of people do, or anybody does. But if you are mounting your horse properly, theoretically, you should be able to do that. So this is Daniel Dauphin with Dauphin Horsemanship, and I hope that helps.